let's deal first, we will come on to Gaza, but let's deal first with Iran. Do you think that American pressure in terms of trying to persuade Netanyahu and the Israeli government is paying dividends here, and this has been a more muted response than we otherwise would have seen?
So I have two questions when I hear Philip talking about this. One, if all the actors which are involved, Iran, the US, its European allies, they all want the situation to de-escalate. Nobody wants an all-out war, including all the countries in the Middle East that we just mentioned. Who is it that is going to escalate this war? It seems to me that the arrow is pointing to one direction, and the only person who we are scared of taking the wrong decision, of making the wrong step, is Netanyahu, which brings us back to him just being completely the wrong leader for this point.
Well, look, we can't do anything about who Israel is a democracy. Their prime minister is their prime minister. But in terms of this de-escalation, we're seeing a reduction in harm, I hope. Philip's clear about that, in Gaza, which everyone should be very thankful for because of the appalling humanitarian situation. But it does seem that Israel haven't gone for a full-throated response to significant escalation by Iran. And surely that's something that should give us all hope.
Yes, but isn't it interesting that we are living in a world where everyone has access to international news everywhere, everyone is speaking English, and it feels to me like we are in this PR kind of war where we are hoping that the impression of one voter base from the media that they are receiving wherever they are in the world is going to be one where the leaders who are being voted by these people will feel like, okay, we have done enough. We do not need to look like we are making a stronger move or something like that. And I think that this is a very, very dangerous way to make foreign policy, because we live in a world where you cannot depend on international media to play along with whatever we think is best for international security. It's just not going to happen. If there are some news stories in the next few days that make Israel look weak in the eyes of Israeli voters, or Iran as well look weak in the eyes of its allies and the people that they are trying to satisfy, impress, keep in check, then does that mean that we are going to be in danger of this war taking an ugly turn? And also, what does that mean for countries in Europe and the US when you have a pre-election period where voters in these countries were also looking at the government for guidance and for security?
Very, very good point. Let me bring Matthew in just finally on this. Look, let me put a sort of counter-argument to you, if I may. So let's say the English Foreign Secretary, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron was visiting, I don't know, a consul general in Jordan, and Israel launched an attack at it, or a foreign power launched an attack at it and blew up our consul general, basically British soil, diplomatic soil, and our foreign secretary was killed. People would be demanding a response to the UK. Now, people who support Iran, I'm certainly not one of them, but people who support Iran say actually their attack on Israel was a legitimate response to an attack on Iranian sovereign territory. Surely that's why, whether you accept that argument or not, and as I say, I'm not an Iranian supporter, surely Israel responding again following that Iranian attempt to bomb Israel on the 13th of this month is retaliation, is escalating this again. What can we do to try and make sure that Israel do not continue down this road?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, it is the unanswerable question, really. I mean, the Israeli attack, which, of course, they don't claim responsibility for, but everybody knows that it was them on the diplomatic compound, broke the number one rule of international relations, the rules of diplomacy, that you don't attack diplomatic missions. So, I mean, that is that it can be thrown back again and again. The problem, I think, is that because the Iranian attack was basically so broad brush on Israel, that's why Israel had to respond. I think it would have been targeted. You might have seen the US manage to get Israel to respond, at a very low level or even less. But let's hope that this is the end. I think it could have been a lot worse. But as you say, logically, what you say is right. And that's going to continue to be put by voters, of course, who are anxious about the situation, to governments across the West, including our own.
Yeah.